Hello everyone, welcome to our Let's Play series of Disco Elysium. This is Colonel RPG as usual, and I'm very happy that you're supposed to join me today as we deal with our ex-colleagues. Maybe though that's my ex-something, I'm not sure. It's been a long time since I smelled the thing that smelled of the thing. I don't remember what it was. Was it a bubblegum wrapper thingy? Anyway, Trent is analyzing our memory loss, and he says, "Yes, interesting. I have my theories, but I would like to hear Harry's thoughts first. Harry," he turns to you, "what do you think happened to you? Neurologically, psychologically, and why not? Socioeconomically?" Why not? There's many reasons why not. Because if you start going down that hole, well, so wait, socioeconomically? You think I'm so poor I lost my memory? Not when you phrase it like that, but I don't think critical theory... I know everyone but I don't think critical theory should be off the table here. I know everyone thinks this is far-fetched. Pink academia, but still. That's how it should have been phrased, because that's how people talk. What? He lost his memory because of capitalism? Says Jean Vicmer. No, not like that. I'm not talking vrai de fort school here. But Harry, I asked you, what do you think happened? Well, I mostly think the drinking. However, this is obviously a choice. So we're gonna have some fun here. So the first choice is I drank so much I lost my memory and now I'm slowly recovering it. The second one is I made it all up. It was a fantasy, a stupid joke. I don't know I know who I am. The third option is it might have something to do with an anomaly in the church, a 2mm hole in the world. The fourth one is I am a highly experimental detective. This was a method I used to solve the case. The fifth one is, that's actually kind of an interesting take on it. The fifth one is something so sad happened to me that I couldn't be me anymore. It was the defense mechanism. Actually, you know what? I think that might be. I think that might be the answer. We have seen that. Or signs of it, anyway. Certainly signs of depression, which would be, you know, the results of something sad happening to him. But I think that's the setup for the game. Is the saddest thing must have happened to Harry, and somehow the trauma just caused him to lose his memory. Capitalism fucked me up beyond all recognition. Trent is right. Look at F. Boho here, victim of the ethanol industrial complex. What are you, an inva communist now? You think this is a joke? Actually, it's also worth pointing out, since we're dealing with addiction, and since this Jean Vicmer is apparently a fucking piece of shit, industries that exploit addiction are scum, basically. Well, not necessarily in the sense that they... Well, the problem is that the problem isn't that they make addictive things. The problem is that they exploit it. And how do you exploit something that you make? Capitalism. He turns to the special consultant. Asking him was a mistake. He's a teenage psycho. I asked you, it's not possible to wipe your own memory with alcohol alone, right? He's either lying or insane. Yeah, it just goes back to that, doesn't he? He just absolutely has no... He said before that it's just completely ableist language to begin with, but also complete lack of empathy towards people who have addiction. It's a disease. It's called mental illness, and it needs to be treated. You need to not be a piece of shit to people like that, because it's fucking a terrible thing. And never mind capitalism. Judith says, but Detective Vicmer, he has blanked out before. I have? Yes, a couple of times, after some of the more serious benders. She pauses, remembering. One was after the two drunks case, the other when we looked into that mural. The two cases in your ledger, the unsolvable case and the New World mural, those were recent. Those cases were hard on you, says our half-light. I actually don't remember what they are. I don't remember what they were. That's interesting. New World mural, though. The name is a little bit evocative. Interesting. So at first he dipped his toes into it, prepared. That's where he would have gotten the idea. Yes, practice. And then he used alcohol to get there, so to speak. What do you mean? Well, here is my theory. What if this is an absolutely normal reaction to the world we're living in? What if this is not a significantly anomaly at all? Something to be explained, approached as a defect? Look at the sensory input here. He gestures towards the scenery. Look at the ruins. The word is not lost on me. The neon. Listen to the radio. The multitudes. The people live here for 40 years as a police detective. He's like a magnetic reader on the world tape. To borrow a known metaphor, Harry's been pushed flat against it. Total input. Hardwired to the free market. Dolores Day that I was mentioning before. He nods confidently. He just needed for it to end. Okay, Trent, thank you. That's absolutely meaningless. I'm glad we brought you. Will he or will he not be able to work in the major crimes unit? Is he a Crichton now? I want to know that. He is not a Crichton. I think here Crichton being used as the medical term. Although I'm pretty sure it's not used anymore. It's not an actual modern day medical term, but it started off as a medical term. It's a lot of insults. Going back to the ableist language, there's a lot of insults that start off as medical terms and just get appropriated for insults. Like moron, for example, is one of them. I know that one, but I also know Crichton. I was trying to think of others, but I can't remember. Either way, Trent says, and he is able to do work, if not in his previous leadership role, then as a line detective. Fuck all of you. I don't want to be in your unit. No, Harry. Fuck you. You already fucked us. I've already explained this shit to Bryce twice. To Buryayeva 4 times. I'm your partner. I answer for you when you're not here. When you clocked out, says our esprit de corps, I became responsible for your cases and your special task force. What now? Now nothing. Now we're just going to stand here. I'm just gonna stand here then. Yeah, just stand there. It's cool. Really? No. Now we discuss that. He points to the water. What the fuck did you do to our motor carriage? Why is it there? Harry? I don't know who Jacob Iru is. Is that a reference to something that we should know? I thought the killer would be underwater. He wasn't. I'm gonna say the last one because it's the saddest one. And it's also the honest one. And I like it. It's well written as well. So it's a trifecta for a line. He asks, why is it there, Harry? I don't know. I don't know why it's there. I do, says Jean Vicmer. You drove it into the water. Everyone on this street saw you do it. It's going to be a local landmark, too, on the brochure. Thank you for fucking us, Harry. Thank you for destroying 45,000 real of police property that's coming out of my pay slip. You know that, right? You're gonna get fired, and I'm gonna pay till I die. It doesn't matter. He exhales to calm his breathing. Your badge, Harry. Show me your badge. I got my badge right here. In a rush to demonstrate your badge. That's a legendary failure there. But I can catch it. Huh. I can also let it fall to the ground. In a rush to demonstrate your badge, your eager fingers can sustain a grip on the smooth plastic, and the badge slips out of your hand. Patrol Officer Mino picks it up and gives it back to you, slippery and cold. He found it. It's his badge, I can confirm. Jean Vicmer stares at you, unimpressed with the badge finding. And your gun? As if having your badge and gun are natural states, not achievements, says our rhetoric. Gun. The gun. Yeah, gun. The thing that was given to you to kill people? I'm not giving him the trigong. Or triangong. That's the evidence. I'm on it, 24/7. I'm tracking it down right now. But you haven't because you're drunk. You lost your gun and you're drunk. You're a drunk, gunless bum. I can smell it. I quit drinking. Forever. It's only me in this boring hellhole now. I don't buy it. Why do you smell like a corpse then, huh? He's wounded, says Kim. He looks at you. It's been a long week, and he's handled an actual corpse. None of this matters. My odor situation, it's meaningless compared to what I've discovered. What you've discovered? You let the suspect escape a certain Clashy because you were too drunk to assess her flight risk? We've read the reports, Harry. Lieutenant Kitsuragi's. We know. We're looking at the oxygen holocausts times a quadrillion. That would be focusing on the... I'm going that way, by the way. I'm going this way. I think this is interesting. Also because I sort of don't trust them to take care of Dross, of Mr. Dross. I don't trust them to take care of him proper. That doesn't matter, I'm gonna say. None of it does. We're looking at the oxygen holocaust, times a quadrillion. I have come to know the final fate of man and the universe. Oh well, if you got really high, then I guess it's okay. He rubs his face in frustration. Let's not even get into the other suspect, who also escaped. Or the fact that you're Ivrax Claire's little peon now, doing I don't know what for him. That's small science stuff. That's nothing. That's a humorous anecdote. Compared to the 8 people who were gunned down. The streets are literally red with blood, Harry. It was fucking mass murder. He did everything he could, the lieutenant interrupts him. We did everything we could. The company hired and vetted mercenaries. Lieutenant Dubois got between them and the locals. Here comes the cavalry, says our esprit de corps. He did so at considerable risk to his own life. He was shot, not once but twice. We stopped an execution, not a negotiation. The loss of life was minimal compared to what it could have been. The firefight is a trivial matter compared to the greatest discovery of this century. Wait, it's better if he says it in a lowered voice. It's so much better if he does this, says our rhetoric. 1,000,000 times better. Yes, it is. Thank you for the input, Lieutenant Kitsuragi. I didn't mean to suggest you didn't handle the situation. He brushes a stray strand of hair out of his eye and coughs. You've spent the week with him on this case. What is your take? On the case? On Lieutenant Ephraitor Dubois. Well, he pulls his collar up. The drinking, the gun losing, and the losing the badge. That's all true. Although, he has not been drinking on the job this week. See, says Judith. 1 week. Then there's the self-flagellation issue. He likes to apologize, profusely, making it sound like he's guilty of at least first-degree murder. It's not a good communication strategy for an officer. It's worrying, especially considering his political views. Detective Dubois is, as you may know, a Mazovian socio-economist. That's a communist. That's what it means. Mazovian is a stand-in for Marx, I'm pretty sure. He wants to liquidate the ruling class. Oh, liquidate it. That's a politically correct way of putting it. Which, again, for a police officer, is a little odd. Yes, it is, Kim. Yes, it is. You should yell something, says our rhetoric. On a success, I should. I'm a policeman of the state to come. Still, the take on communism is super tanky a lot of the time. Like, super authoritarian, I should say. That's not a good idea. Let's not say it. Yes, let's let the big boys talk, says our rhetoric. Yes, it's a good idea. And then there's the motor carriage in the sea, something I was not present for. He breathes in sharply. But despite all this, he's a great detective. One of the best I've seen, in fact. He can talk human beings into telling him everything, and he doesn't stop. In all the time I've spent with him, he has not once stopped pursuing leads, however far-fetched and tangential. He is tireless, madly driven. Well, except that one time when he stopped to sing karaoke, which, by the way, was a valiant effort. He really sang his heart out. Yeah, it was what it was, says Jean-Vic Maire, who was also there. Also, by the way, the voice actor for our character and for some of our Furies, he's actually a singer. He has a band. I don't know his name, though, but we might see it in the credits of the game, but he has a band, a British band, for I don't know what kind of genre, but he's got a very special voice, so it's probably going to be a genre that fits that voice. Kim says, other than that one time, he has tirelessly worked on the case, and he solved it. We have a confession, a murder weapon, and the perpetrator, locked on the island right now, awaiting transportation. He apprehended a revolutionary brigade who stayed hidden for 50 years, ever since the revolution, who's probably committed other murders over those years. Oh, and he also discovered a new species. A new species? A colossal stick insect. It was on the island, camouflaged as the reeds. It unfolded from the reeds. I think we may be dealing with the Insulindian phasmid. He takes the photo out and shows it to the officers across the yard. Rain comes down. He covers the glossy photo of the phasmid with his hand. You hear gasps beneath the howling of the wind. On a medium success for our hearing. As you can see, it's about 3 meters tall. In fact, we think it may be the largest land invertebrate ever discovered. I don't know what these first things are. Hosiana? I don't know what that is, but I like this. So as you can see... Oh no, that's not... Oh, I thought I was gonna say that the insect was a giant communist. Because I think that's what it is. I think that's more... Well, communist, it's maybe a stretch in regards to at least, you know, the communal ownership of the means of production. But at least concerned about the rights of people, in the very least, because the living and the rights of every living thing. I don't know if it's still... I still don't know if it's a stand-in for nature or a metaphor anyway. This is what I've been trying to tell you about. Jean-Vic Maire ignores you, still staring at the phasmid. Fucking hell. Is this somehow connected to the case? Detective? Kim turns to you. KHM, yes. I believe the pheromone it emits may be responsible for the killer's mental degradation. It's a good thing I didn't touch it then. The old man was not aware of the phasmid's presence, exhibiting a strange, atypical dementia. He fell into a stupor after its appearance. He became near catatonic. So it is connected, says Judith. I must say this, says Trent as he points to the photo. This is absolutely extraordinary. I don't even have words for it. Yeah, it really does make it hard to fire the drunk. His tired eyes follow the photo as the lieutenant puts it away. This is a very, very sad man who has just seen something that's made him forget his sadness. That's Jean-Vic Maire, is the very, very sad man who's forgotten his sadness? Our rhetoric says, now you make your case. Now is the time. Now or never. And we got KHM again. I don't understand why that is. Because how do you pronounce that? Like what language uses KH and M to signify? I don't know. I have no idea. But still, anyway. I also started a nightclub in the church. I think I'm just gonna say all of these. Let's say that. What was that? He cups his ear. The wind blows. It sounded like you set up a nightclub in the church. Yeah, I did. Some kids saw it. Turned their lives around. 4 kids were living in a tent on the ice. They were going to drown when it melted. It's not optimal, but the building was abandoned, so he put them in there. It's okay. It's not that okay, says our suggestion. Get off the subject now. Yes, I can't continue it. Also, the phasmid was female. The reeds are its nest. Female? What makes you think so? You had to see it. It had the subdued colors of a female, and the nesting behavior too, I think. Incredible! Were there eggs in the nest? Not as far as I could see. There were some other things there, though. He turns to you. It reproduces by parthenogenesis. I think it does. But we're going to be able to conclude this thought, so I'm going to be able to say both. It had gathered items in its nest, a helmet and a scope. Actually, you know, this would indicate it was a male. Yeah, I was going to say, actually. Because in regards to the magpies, it's the male that tends to collect things. All the females do that as well. It's just, it's not as common. You know how it is. It's all spectrum and whatnot. This is far from anything in my field, but I think such nests are called bowers, or bowers. They are for attracting mates. Oh no, I am the mate. He said it loved me. Trying to connect things in my head, but I'm not sure there is anything to that. I still think it was female. Of course, as I said, I'm only guessing. I didn't see it. He pauses, turning something over in his head. It must be robust, if it can move a whole helmet with its limbs. It isn't, actually. I think it reproduces by parthenogenesis, which is what cells do. It's when cells divide into two equal cells. As in cloning itself? What makes you think so? It told me. He ignores your answer. Then it wouldn't matter if it's male or female. The bower would just be a rudimentary behavior from before the parthenogenic mutation. That makes sense. Yes, says our logic. Very interesting. He looks around, quickly assessing the coast. Such organisms are extremely vulnerable to disease. A single strain of bacteria could wipe out the whole species. We're probably looking at a conservation effort here. In his mind, he's already planning a nature reserve, and knows a good guy for that. Hinting at potentially, corruption and whatnot, or maybe not. I don't know if he's a person in power. He had mandibles that looked like hair, and it was completely white on the inside. Yes, but also reed-colored, beige and brown, a little green on the outside. After unfolding from a single stalk, it still retained parts that looked like reed tufts on its limbs. Incredible, he repeats, turning to Vicmer. The PR value of this is exceptional. Cop discovers new species, maybe even discovers the Insulinden phasmid. No, that's too much. This would really help with some of the problems we've been having, says Judith. Absolutely, this is great. This does not say vigilante murderers to me at all. This says science. That's what cops are. Because he's talking about propaganda here. Whatever. This says science, news, human interest. He smiles. It's a really good thing you have that photo. Jean Vicmer says, without it. He shakes his head. You're doing good here, perhaps only for a moment, but still. ... Ellipses have 3 dots, says our suggestion. Also, I know the name of Dross. Lilianovich Dross. I really forgot him saying his name, or I don't know where this is coming from, but still. The killer, Lilianovic Dross, we have a strong motive for him. Lilianovic? The special consultant raises an eyebrow. A revolutionary matronym. Interesting. I remember there being a really weird reference to middle names in, to first names in a game called Atom RPG, written by Russian people. Somebody said, I'll give you my first name, but I'll not give you my real first name, or something to that extent. And I was like, that doesn't make sense. What the hell are you talking about? Somebody commented in that particular episode that about the way Russian names are given. So I assume other similarly Eastern Europe countries have similar naming conventions. I know for a fact, like, my own name is like, or here in Portugal anyway, the naming convention is very different from the US. Basically, everybody has 1 or 2 first names and 1 to 4 surnames. And usually it's 2 or 3 surnames. Like, for example, I have 3 surnames and I have 2 first names. And you just get them from your parents, and just the order tends to be first comes the mother's name, second comes the in terms of the surname. Sorry, first comes the mother's name, and second comes the father. But you know, of course, you can change it. And there are, like, for example, my grandmother from my father's side, her family, I think there were like 11 kids. And none of them had the same surname combination anyway. The same surname combination. They all just mixed and matched because they just did whatever. And you can do that. I think legally speaking, you can just mix and match and do whatever in regards to what surnames you inherit, as it were. But you can have just a single surname. I have a cousin who only has 1 surname and 2 first names. So his name is actually the closest you'd get to an American name, with first name and last name and a middle name. But which the middle name being like a given name as well. It's like the middle name can be a surname style name, but it is effectively a given name. It's like you can be George in a middle name, which happens to be my middle name as well. Not in English, obviously. But so in that way, basically, American naming conventions, at least the way they're portrayed on television, because I don't know any. Or I say pertaining to television, but the names that we hear in the news and stuff like that, it tends to be 2 first names and 1 surname. So it's a little bit more limiting. But I think what happens is there's a matronym, which I believe might be just a special name to the first surname, or maybe the second surname. I don't remember how it works, but for those of you in the audience that know what this means, you know how it means, and you can absolutely leave a comment. I would be very glad to hear again about it. Or we can just look it up. But it's a revolutionary matronym. The custom started in Grad, where they have patronyms. Grazovic, Larsovic, etc. The revolutionaries saw this as a chauvinistic atavism, or whatever that means. So they used matronyms derived from the mother's name instead. This man's mother was Lilian. He's Lilian's son, Lilianovic. Oh, that's what Vich means then. It tends to be, languages tend to do that as a lot. For example, in Portuguese, although we don't, like, it's a lot more hidden than it is in English, because in English you just have, like, Johansson, for example. It's like, actually Johansson sounds like a Swedish name. But in English you'd have that, and it's got a son there at the end. You know it's the son, yeah, it's still chauvinistic, or I guess it's not chauvinistic. It's patriarchal. It's still patriarchal because even women have the son at the end, whereas they didn't used to have. I've seen cases where, like, it's daughter, or it's written in the old English daughter. So if you were a woman, you'd get like Johan daughter or something like that, because you're the daughter of Johan. But in Portuguese, it's a lot hidden, because it's very hidden, because it's just having an S at the end of the name. So if you were the son or daughter of Johan, you'd be Johans. It's kind of interesting, because people don't realize that that's what it means. And there's a lot of names there's a lot of surnames here in Portugal that end with an S, and that's what it means. Mendes, for example. Mendu, rather, is a name. A very old name. People don't get called that anymore. But Mendes would be the son of Mend. Actually, again, the son of Mendus. But, you know, names evolve and stuff like that. But anyway, we're out of time for the day. So we're going to continue this conversation in the next episode. For right now, I'm Colonel RPG, and this has been Disco Elysium. I really hope you've enjoyed it, and if you did, go ahead and leave a comment. Like the video if you want to see the next episode come out sooner rather than later. But above all, thank you so much for watching, and I hope I'll see you next episode. Bye-bye.